focus, actions you need to do, just to get attention online, just to get a customer to look at your brand, to get them to come and visit your website, to be engaged within your website, and actually pick a product and put it into the basket. And when you go through all that, this process of micro actions and focus starts again. Now you got to convert that basket, right? I think the industry average is 70 to 80% basket abandonment. So you got to go through a series of actions to try to engage that customer to get to the checkout page. And when you get the checkout page, the same thing happens again. It's a series of actions they need to look into to prevent fraud, to authenticate the customer, give them options to try to get them to actually pay. And then the last part, which is actually the authorization of payment, here is where there's just a big gap in the industry. Everyone just kind of says, if it accepts, that's good. And if it's declined, I guess the payment god said it's not a good sale. And we're here to tell you that the vast majority of declines should not be declined. It's 12% of sales were lost across the US and Europe in online at the payment decline, and almost no one does anything about it. And we're going to kind of unpack that, talk about where FlexCharge plays in this space. So if we go kind of a level deeper, I thought some of the presentations from BrainPower were great on this, on the basket conversion. You need to be hyperactive. It's a game of inches of engaging the customer in the basket, doing pop-ups, doing upsells, having live chats, giving rewards or incentives of free delivery, anything to get that conversion up, right? And all of those actions, they're getting you kind of 1, 2, 3% improvements in conversion. That's a lot of money. It's definitely worth all the effort. And then when you get to that, you finally convert, you got to the pay page, the best players in the market will deploy a series of actions. Do you authenticate the customer? It's something called 3DS. You can do dual authentication. You give multiple payment types from debit and credit to buy now, pay later, or wallets, so the customer has all the choices they can pay with. You do fraud checks. You might use something like a signified or riskified, which is a kind of chargeback guarantee, where they're sitting in front of the transaction and kind of judging, do this one's low risk, do this one's high risk, okay? And they're telling you which ones to accept and which ones not to accept. All of these things do work, okay? The network rules, the things that Visa and MasterCard do, they do work, and they improve incrementally all of these pieces. But what I will say as a lifelong payment expert, I've run several large companies, payment companies in the US. We actually process for Match.com. I heard someone say they started that. That was a client of mine in the past. The best players use some sort of orchestration, some sort of mix of these strategies to optimize that impact. What I would say to all of you that are driving e-commerce or digital commerce businesses, I'd say a few things. One, there is no silver bullet. There is no one size fits all. Oh, I use this supplier, all of my problems are solved. That does not exist. You have to orchestrate 2 or 3. 2, know your data. Know if you're using a fraud check. Yes, your fraud is lower. How many sales are you losing to get that lower fraud? Are you getting the right trade-off and mix? And 2, when you actually have a payment that's declined, how many payments are declined? Why are they declined? I'm blown away by how many people actually don't know. We're actually using the wrong information. If you're commingling in-store data with online data, it's 2 different worlds. In-store, no one declines. Okay, it's like 99%. You've got a chip in your card. Card doesn't work, someone pulls out another card. In the online world, there's a lot more fraud. Okay, there's a lot more caution. You don't have the chip to guarantee and authenticate, so losses are much higher, acceptance is much lower. 2, some of your payment providers, I used to be one of them, okay, we kind of massage the number. We'll say, well, your acceptance rate is 98%, but we're ignoring, clearly funds not available or suspected fraud. We don't count those, because those are clearly lost. These are the only ones that are really, kind of decline. You have to really understand your data. And the reason why we say that, it's a huge number. 12% on average of sales were lost. It's a big number. And we see this as your money. We see this as your revenue. You went through all those actions we've been talking about today, all of these things to optimize and get to a sale, and then to allow, 8, 9, 10, 12. In some cases, we work with clients with 20, 30% decline rates, drop to the floor. It's appalling. It's your money that should be in your pocket, and we think there are real solutions here to drive that. So let's kind of unpack that a little bit more. Why is this happening? You know, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, these are sophisticated companies that have been around for years. They work incredibly well, and they're global. But there are a few things. One, $500 billion in sales are lost a year across the US and North America and Europe for this reason. Two, for every fraud that you successfully prevent, you're preventing 8 good sales. That is the industry average. So you might lower your fraud, you might lower your chargeback, but you are losing sales. You are absolutely losing sales. And finally, it's complex. There are millions of merchants. There are hundreds of types of gateways. Then there are processors that do the clearing and settlement. And then the card issuer, the bank on the other side, each one of them has their own separate set of rules. Their data setups might be slightly different. The way they process their batches may be on different timings. And when you add all this variability together, you get millions and millions of outcomes, and you get this inefficiency point. And it just absolutely exists. The payment world, which I come from, we're obsessed with speed. We want throughput as fast as possible. Your average transaction has 6 data fields in it. That's it. And you want to make that decision as quick as possible. So they're willing to drop a lot of things to get that throughput through. But those things that they're dropping are your sales. So we do think you can have that speed, but you can also have solutions to pick up a good chunk of these lost sales. And so why does it matter? It's a lost sale. That definitely matters. But if you're running your brand and your company, when there's a payment decline, that customer will have some association of that negative experience with you. Okay, if you're in decline online, it sucks, right? You've gone through everything, you want the product, you get decline. We have over $70 billion of transaction data in our system. We've seen this with Nuvei and Visa reports as well. The vast majority of customers will leave the website. So you're not only losing the sale, you are potentially losing a customer as well. So this has a throughput impact that's bigger than just that one-off sale. And then two, if you're in marketing in this room, you've got limited budgets. And if your cost of acquisition is higher because of this inefficiency, you're just not as effective. And if you have multiple transactions or membership or subscriptions, your lifetime value numbers really pop off here. So there's some real impacts to the actual operators. So with that said, with that kind of tee up, what is FlexCharge? And what do we do and how do we operate? So we are the only post-authorization solution. Once the payment has actually happened and been declined, that we come in and we can actually cure over 30% of those declines. So if you have 12% of declines and you can cure 30%, that's a 4% increase in sales. It's a 4% increase in sales. That's money that you were losing now can be in your pocket. So there are a few things to know, and I'll talk a bit about how the process works. One, I'll go a bit about our DNA, but it's a very data science driven company. We built the Accept IQ platform. When there's a decline, before that message gets to you, we can intercept it. We can instantly review the transaction. We can restructure the data. We can augment it with geolocation, with IP address, with credit bureau information, and thousands and thousands of specific fingerprint behavior points that we've created. And what we're doing is we're instantly scoring the propensity for that transaction to be successfully retried. Okay, we know it takes about a second and a half to do all that. So actually, this has been declined. We know for this issuer in this location, for this industry, we've added this data. We know this will go through successfully. We're scoring it. Okay, so we can do that very, very effectively live. Two, the second part is we have a sales guarantee. If the score is high, we step in and we purchase the invoice. Okay, this is a lost sale. You've been declined. You've gone through all those steps. We come in and say, look, the score is high. We'll purchase the invoice. We will pay you so you can deliver the product to the customer, and we'll reauthorize the card. So it's a guarantee on a transaction by transaction basis. The third part is we have an obsession with a customer journey. We absolutely believe the customer should get the product they want. They should use the payment type that they chose, the card they chose. They should use their existing credit lines and limits, and they should never have to pay for it ever. There's no cost to the customer. If the reauthorization doesn't work, we don't collect, we walk away from it. We work on a statistical model of volume. There's no collections. When it shows up on your invoice, it's going to be your brand and your merchant on the card statement, not ours. So we only use dynamic descriptors. So it's very obsessed with the customer, and that allows us to be fully embedded and frictionless in that journey. We do cover all decline codes, so funds not available, suspected fraud, my favorite one called do not honor. It's a technical term in payments for, I'm not sure, I think it's something. I mean, it's just a lazy man's button. And that's about 35% of decline codes, by the way, in the industry. It's just other, we don't know. So it just shows the inefficiencies. So we cover everything. We do real time and we do subscriptions. And then finally, the team DNA is very unique. The company was founded by the former head of decision science and AI and analytics for Experian globally. He ran all the Experian models for over 10 years. He then created another company and sold it successfully. So real data science DNA matched with a bunch of payment geeks. And I come from the team, that second team. Many of us have run companies, online companies, digital wallet businesses globally. So it's a mix of people that are payment experts and data experts. And I love this company when I came across it because I knew the pain it would create. I knew how angry customers were. One of my biggest customers in the past was DraftKings. Okay, Super Bowl's coming up, and those bets aren't going through because you have a decline rate by 0.5%. You're getting called. You're getting summoned to the office on how to optimize it. So I was acutely aware of how important this issue was, and to match it with the founders who have this great kind of data science capability to me was an opportunity not to miss. So how does this kind of process work? Okay, you bought something online, right? You've enhanced the photos, you've gone through everything, and now you've bought. Okay, you've been declined. That decline message is coming to you. It's a lost sale to the merchant. Before it gets to you, we integrate, and we will see that decline. We do that instant evaluation and restructuring. We score it, and we say we like it. Okay, you get that message saying that we purchased the invoice. You send the message then saying, congratulations, your product will be delivered on Wednesday. And then at the bottom it says our payment partner FlexCharge will process the payment. So it's a very embedded piece. No customer has to sign up for it. So it's very seamless and clean in that sense. Again, there's no collection. The invoice is with your brand. The timing is about 1.5 to 2 seconds is the timing that it takes to do all this. So it's a very powerful solution. The other last two things to know, in terms of, all of you have 1,000 things coming at you. I was at NRF and I was terrified at the amount of suppliers all selling stuff to merchants. And you guys have so many ROI decisions in front of you, like which ones do I do, which ones do I prioritize? I do not envy you. I do not envy any of you in this room in terms of the decisions you have to make. What I would say on this one is the following. It's a very, very clean ROI. All of you have a range, if you look on the bottom of that chart, you have a range of decline rates, okay? Online decline rates, make sure it's online. No one's at 0, but 8 to 20% is the general range of where we find online players to be, okay? So if you're looking at that, if you can cure 25 to 30% of that, what's your increase in sales? And what we're seeing is a pretty consistent kind of 4 to 10% increase in sales. But if you have customers with repeat purchases, the lifetime value of that becomes a multiple. You can multiply by 2 or 3 times. So this is very impactful. We don't do kind of subscriptions or annual revenue deals or minimums. We go on a transaction by transaction basis. And the pitch we always say is you can have 100% of nothing, or you can have 90% of something. And that's how we set up our ROIs. And the last thing is we do integrate at the payment gateway, we can integrate at the CRM, and we can integrate at the checkout level. It depends if we can access the tokenized card and the decline API, those 2 data points, we can deliver our services to you. So time to market and ease tends to be on the kind of more interesting side versus the complex side. And then look, at the end of the day, we are obsessed with this. We think it's a big problem in the industry. We think it's your money. And ultimately, a decline payment is a negative moment for the consumer and does have cut through to the brand. And how do you avoid that? And then two, for the merchant, again, it's you work so hard to get across that last mile, to have to just drop for unneeded reasons is the wrong outcome. And we certainly think that we can help. We can help with that. So Daniel and I are around. All of our information is in all the packets. We've got our website, and we're open to see how we can help you guys grow and sell them. Thank you very much.